You are now tuned into Check This Out News. We connect the streets. It goes down each and every week. Check This Out News. Oh, say the dark secret. Of course, I got my girl Hoops with me. Hoops, what up, though?
What up, though? Hi.
How you feeling?
I feel great. How are you?
Feeling good, of course. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Now, the world has gone photo crazy. It's estimated that consumers around the world will click 1.2 trillion digital photos in 2017. And 2017 is almost over, of which 87% would be captured from mobile phones. Now, it's also predicted there will be 7.5 billion people in the world in 2017, and about 5 billion of them will have a mobile phone. So let's say roughly 80% of those phones have a built-in camera. Around 4 billion people will have access to that. And let's say they take 10 photos per day. That's 3,650 photos per year per person. That adds up to more than 14 trillion photos annually. Okay? Now, here's why this matters, Hoops. This is why this matters, okay? Because everybody's on a smartphone. All right, the smartphone camera changed photography forever. From all types of selfies to never-ending Instagram feeds, the world is now drowning in images. So today, is everyone a photographer? Now, this is pretty open. Is the photography now the obsolete person? Do you think that there's no need for photographers in 2017?
Well, I come from that world, so I wouldn't say that they're going to just automatically go away. However, I mean, the smartphone did take over. I mean, now everybody can take photographs. I wouldn't call them a photographer because that's a profession. You can't take away the art form of that. You know what I mean? Everybody's so instant now, and they don't care. They won't be in the moment anymore. They're just going to take a million pictures because guess what? One of them will work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there's no art form to it, but you know how quick it's changed, and that's why we do this. We do this show every week, you know? So, like, photography rose in the 1850s, which, well, we had painters back then, so they just went to the scrap pile. You know, now the iPhones are taking over, so yeah.
It's constantly evolving, and Samsung, they stepped up the game, I think, with the Samsung 7 seemed to have one of the best pictures that I saw.
Right.
You know,
that everybody says that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then the video quality, it's like people are making films on their mobile phone.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the real question is, do people still develop photos? What happened to Kodak and the rest? I mean, Kodak, I don't know. That sounds like a dinosaur to me. But
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think Polaroids are still going to keep their place. Some people like nostalgia. They love the nostalgia of it. But yeah, I mean, 40,000 people lose their jobs at Kodak, but now they're replaced by 12 people on Instagram. I don't know. They'll get with it. Maybe develop some type of something that goes over the camera phone, or I don't know.
It's definitely one of those things that I think is good food for thought, because I don't think a lot of times, you know, it's so rapidly evolving that sometimes people forget, and before you know it, something is, you know, simply nostalgic. But, you know, when you mention Polaroids, one of the things about that is sometimes people like, you know, and I do believe that people like, the touch and feel of certain things, you know?
Yeah, I don't think it'll go away. I mean, people still do it. I mean, my sister just had a birthday party, and we was all up in, you know, one of the stores trying to get all. I asked the guy in the back, I'm like, hey, have you seen like a decline in people getting their pictures developed? And he's like, actually, it's been an increase. And he's like, I don't know, people still want to touch and feel them, so they're still in. And I'm like, well, that's interesting.
That's dope. Yeah, man. Keeping it moving. Instagram is the worst social media site in terms of the impact on young people's mental health. You know, according to a survey organized by the Royal Society for Public Health of almost 1,500 teens and young adults, that's what they're stating. Now, the photo-based platform got points for self-expression and self-identity. It was also associated with high levels of anxiety, depression, bullying, and fear of missing out, or FOMO. So the question being, does Instagram and sites like that lead teens to anxiety, depression, bullying, and FOMO? What do you think?
Oh, I think it absolutely does. I absolutely do. I mean, I know we can have this topic probably every week, whatever, but like when you can create unrealistic expectations with a picture, I mean, you can kind of create the body that you want. So I think they're getting like confused when they see, like, you know what I mean? Look, I always put myself in the same boat because I'm guilty of being on there and looking through pictures and stuff, and then you get out of the shower, you look in the real mirror with the real light, and you're like,
oh hell no!
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is real. I don't know.
The desire for
that.
likes. It's
Yes,
all about the desire for
exactly.
likes, and I think it transcends when you go into the digital space.
Yes.
Because obviously people, I mean, and I can imagine for, younger brothers and sisters, striving to get all these likes and all this to make you feel like you're validated.
Absolutely.
I would tell my kids, F that.
Yeah.
When I have kids.
Yeah.
But,
it's like they have to go through like a class and just learn something more about it, that it just doesn't mean all of that. But yeah, that's what they're doing. They're evaluating the likes. And if they get a lot of likes, that means they look good. If they don't, So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, the cyberbullying has really, ramped up on that because, too, people can leave comments and things of that nature. It's just amazing how many people have so many negative things that they want to share and hide behind their avatar.
Internet beef is nothing. I'm punching buttons, thumb thugging. Don't see me in the streets, see me in them tweets. Boy, I'm thumb thugging.
Absolutely.
You know
and that's
what I mean?
why it's easy.
That's
and
whack
why it's grown.
as hell. That's whack as hell. Just public service announcement if you needed to know. But either way, it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's get to the federal government. They may soon sell facial recognition data. Okay, of course, this is going to be for profit. Now, as everyone is planning to buy the new iPhone 10, among other gadgets that are powered with facial recognition, both here and in the UK, the federal government is considering allowing private companies to use its national facial recognition database for a fee. Documents released under the Freedom of Information law reveal. Now, the Attorney General's Department is in discussions with major telecommunication companies about pilot programs for private sector use of the facial verification service in 2018. The documents also indicate strong interest from financial institutions such as Bank of America, Wells Fargo, among others, in using the database. Now, the reason why this is so important is Big Brother is watching, and Big Brother can sell your private information, and you can't do a damn thing about it. Okay, now the government has argued that the use of facial recognition is necessary for national security and to cut down on crimes such as identity theft. But are we being duped by the government?
In my opinion, I mean, yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Specifically,
like
the Trump administration, do you think that with these new FCC, I mean, what do you think?
I just think it's like it's another form of just a loss of control over your identity, and maybe they're increasing their databases for facial recognition. I actually think it's an easy way to sort us into categorized groups. It's a social classification, things like that. I mean, you can keep on going on and on, but if you want to go that route, I mean, that's an easy way to target, social classes or whatever. So, and then also, I mean, who's to say that you're the one that read the red light or however, whatever, and they can just easily pinpoint somebody and wrongfully accuse them of something? I mean, there's so many different things that can happen that are negative. So I just feel like people need to really get into knowing the knowledge of how this facial recognition can come in and affect and change everybody's lives. I mean, we're moving so fast in just this tech whole space, and there's people need to know about it, need to research it.
Yeah, it's interesting, and the thing that, to me, that really stood out is, I think so I'm a little torn about the facial recognition thing, because on one hand, I do feel like it'll help as it relates to identity theft, but the flip side of me asks, what isn't for sale at this point? And that's, I don't know. And that's kind of like one of the things about the technological space that we have to be able to embrace. And right now, I think we're being forced to let go of a lot of things that we have been accustomed to for so long very quickly. You know what I'm saying? Because the digital age has been moving, like you said earlier, very fast. So it's like, what do you do? So I don't know, man. I mean, when the government, this whole facial recognition data, I don't know what the hell to think of that. Because if people are harassing your ass, telemarketers were harassing you just having your phone number.
And now they're going to have your whole identity, like in background. Oh, yeah. It could get crazy.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? But only if I can get some of that cryptocurrency. So let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that, all that identity.
We know your facial recognition is going to be sold at a profit. Cryptocurrency now, the future of Zimbabwe. And speaking of Zimbabwe and done in a Zimbabwe. They recently changed their elected officials in terms of the president. So Robert Mugabe no longer the president of Zimbabwe, but they were talking about the currency there, 361.900 in terms of cryptocurrency, I guess equals $1 according to the Dash Foundation, which aims to promote cryptocurrency. They just struck a deal in the African country of Zimbabwe with Kuva Cash, a mobile wallet project that aims to help Zimbabwe combat runaway inflation by storing value in cryptocurrency. Now this I know of is very important in Africa because the inflation in terms of what they've had and how it's used is like kind of ridiculous, honestly. So this new cryptocurrency project aims to bring some level of financial stability to the country of Zimbabwe through a peer-to-peer payment system that will be accessible to anybody with a mobile phone. Now, how in the Zimbabwe quick to embrace, yet in the U.S. we still are going through regulation. What do you think about that?
Oh, it is kind of ironic. I mean, it's like we're the land of the free, or however you want to say it, but it's so controlled here. And I think there's so many different ways to make money. And obviously, you bring in the government aspect of it and taxes and things like this or whatever. They want to make sure, because so many people can get paid in so many different ways now. And the systems that are coming in and being implemented are moving so fast, like we've been talking about, it's hard to keep track. So I think they're just trying to get it. I think it's going to boom here. Like, that's why we're talking about it so much. But over in Zimbabwe, maybe it's easy to test it out. And obviously, they want something, to protect their investment in. And this is a new movement for them. So that's just what's happening. They don't have their own currency.
I would say this, to your point, Hoops, I think that maybe the good thing about this in places that have developing or who may have even experienced a struggling economy, in Zimbabwe has done, I think very well from things that I know of the country. But I find that this is an opportunity to work out kinks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just like,
absolutely.
I'm not buying the new iPhone 10 yet. Okay.
Well, yeah, it's going to be another round.
I need to see what happens. See where this perfection kicks in.
Yeah.
I can see the U.S., really evolving because, as far as currency is concerned, we might be trading in damn bottle caps.
Right. You never know.
You never know.
The next thing they say that's going to work. Yeah. So hold on to everything.
Right. We got to be prepared for the change. So let's see how that goes, man. We'll be broadcasting live, hopefully, from Zimbabwe. We'll check this out.
Oh, I know that's right.
Right, Hoops? There we go.
Let's go.
One other thing on original content. Content has always been king, but now original content is king, and distribution is King Kong. So there's a new study from the Juniper Research Group that has found that global consumers spend on digital content, it'll reach $202 billion in 2018, up by 10% on this year's total of $184 billion. Now, the research found that subscription video on-demand services will be a key driver of growth, with Netflix and Amazon committing budgets of more than $5 billion for original content over the coming year. Meanwhile, Apple and Facebook are each expected to invest at least $1 billion for the first time. Now, Nick Cannon, king of the dancehall, went to YouTube. Spike Lee Chirac went to Amazon. Marshawn Lynch did an unscripted reality show on Facebook worth a couple of M's. And Shonda Rhimes signed to Netflix. Where is this all going? What do you think? You've been in the space.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go. For one, you're going where the money is, and for two, well, the most important thing is you have to be where your viewers are. So if they're going and everybody in the world is watching Netflix, Amazon, you're getting your content right on your phone. It's super accessible because people like choice and control. That's where they are. So guess what? You got to follow the money. You know what I'm saying? Because we wouldn't be anything without our fans, and if that's where they are, we got to provide content for them. And so I think that's just what's happening. TV now is just TV, and I think that with ABC and NBC and things like that, I think they're not going to go anywhere. I think that they're going to just be strategic now, and it gives them something to kind of be like, okay, we got to strategize a whole lot different, because they do have their apps and things like that. But they used to make it so hard for people to come and say, oh, let's create another network. You got Fox and NBC. They made it almost impossible to come out with it. But now they're sitting there back scratching their heads and saying, well, dang, now we don't even matter, so.
And to your point on that with the big three, let's be clear, ABC owns ESPN,